CBI.
Hi guys, good morning everyone.
Good morning.
Very good morning guys. So what we discussed in the last session, do you guys remember? What we discussed in the last session, do you guys remember that?
By name, by
Yes.
type.
Yes,
Scope by name, by type, constructor.
perfect.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah. Good morning everyone. In the last session, we discussed about what is auto wiring and how to perform auto wiring with by name, by type, and constructor. Right? So auto wiring is the process of identifying dependent object and inject the dependent object into target object directly. So in order to perform this auto wiring, we have to enable that auto wiring by using modes concept. One is by name, second one is by type, third one is a constructor, and fourth one is none. By name, by type, constructor, and none. So when you use by name, it will identify the dependent being based on the name of the variable. When you go for by type, it will identify the dependent being based on the type of the variable. When you go for by type, there is a chance of getting ambiguity problem. So to resolve that ambiguity problem, we will use primary attribute. Okay. So by name and by type will perform setter injection here. If you want to perform auto wiring with the constructor injection, then you need to specify auto wire is equal to constructor. Okay, good. So with this, we got the fundamental concepts of the Spring framework and fundamental concepts of the Spring core module. So we understood what is framework, why to use frameworks for projects development, what is the benefit we are getting with the frameworks, and we discussed about Spring introduction, what is the Spring, why to go for Spring, and what is the architecture of the Spring. Okay, what is the architecture of the Spring, what modules available in the Spring, and mainly what is the core module. Okay, why we need to use this core module, and what is IOC container in the Spring framework, what is the dependency injection in the Spring framework, and why we need to go for the dependency injection. And the next one, what is the constructor injection and what is the setter injection, what are bean scopes available. Okay, and what is auto wiring. So these are the concepts that we have covered so far. Good, fine. So can anyone answer my question? What is framework and why we need to go for frameworks, guys? What is framework
Okay.
and why we need to go for framework?
Frameworks are
Okay.
semi-developed softwares which is used to avoid lot of boiler code and develop our software.
Right. So framework is a semi-developed software that will provide some common logics to complete your development quickly. Frameworks will provide the common logics for us. We need to focus only on the business logics. Okay. Then, so what kind of a frameworks available in the Java?
Java, there are struts, Hibernate.
Yes.
Uh,
What framework is available? Hibernate framework is available. Spring available. So can you tell me the difference between Struts, Spring, and Hibernate?
okay, Hibernate is a framework that is used to deal with the persistence layer, the DAO layer.
Yes.
And Strut is used to develop the business logic,
Okay.
the controller.
Okay.
What is the next?
Spring.
And Spring is used to develop all layers of the application,
Right.
DAO layer, controller, and the business logic.
Right. So struts we can use only to develop the web layer, whereas the Hibernate we can use only to develop the persistence layer. but by using Spring, we can develop all the layers of the application. So Spring is called as application development framework. So by using single framework, we can develop everything in the application. That's why Spring framework became very popular in the market. So can you guys tell me what is the Spring and what are the advantages of using Spring?
Spring is an open source
And what
project.
are the advantages of Spring?
The main advantage of Spring is that Spring is a dependency injection framework which makes Java application loosely coupled.
So Spring is an application development framework. Okay. So that is developed by Rod Johnson in the year of 2004. That framework came into picture. Spring is free and open source framework. Spring is loosely coupled framework. Spring framework developed in modular fashion. There are several modules available in the Spring framework. There are several modules available in the Spring framework. It's not mandatory to use all the modules to develop application. Whichever the module is required for your project, you can take that module and you can develop the projects by using that module. Can you guys tell me what modules available in the Spring? What are the modules available in the Spring framework, guys?
One is
Spring
Spring
Spring Core
Context,
module.
Spring JPA,
Spring Core
Spring Data
module,
JPA,
Spring Core module, Spring Context module, Spring JDBC module, Spring AOP, Spring WebMVC, okay, Spring
Spring
Data,
Cloud.
Spring REST, Spring Cloud, Spring Batch, Spring Security. Like this, there are so many modules available in the Spring framework. There are so many modules available in the Spring framework. So what is the Spring Core module? What is the purpose of Spring Core module?
All the
Spring Core
fundamentals
module.
of the development.
Spring Core module is used to manage our classes with loosely coupling, dependency injection, and IOC container part of core module only. Okay, what is the Spring JDBC module? What is the purpose of Spring JDBC module? Come on.
To
Perform
remove
data
the
operations.
boilerplate code for like the application, six steps of JDBC we can remove in like Spring.
Yes, Spring JDBC module is used to communicate with the database table. What is the Spring AOP module?
To
What is
separate the business logic and
Yes, Spring
The
AOP
logic.
module. Spring AOP module is used to separate the business logic and secondary logics. What is the Spring context module?
for configuration related
Yes,
and
configuration related work will be taken care by context module. What is the Spring WebMVC?
To develop web layer, it is used to develop web layer.
WebMVC module is
Three-tier
develop
architect
web
application
applications.
using MVC
WebMVC
module.
module is used to develop the web applications by using Spring framework. Okay, then what is the Spring REST? What is
It is
Spring
used
REST?
to
Used for
develop the distributed
It
web
microservice
application.
development.
To develop
it is
the REST APIs. Spring REST module is used to develop the REST APIs. What is REST API, guys? What is REST API?
Our Java class gives output in JSON format.
Yes, so REST API is nothing but B2B application. REST API nothing but B2B applications, business to business communication. What is the Spring Cloud module? What is the Spring Cloud module?
to
Come on.
A
connect with
Spring
the
Cloud module,
Used
Spring
for
Cloud
Microsoft
module.
development, microservice.
Spring Cloud module is used to develop the microservices based applications. Spring Cloud module is used to develop the microservices based applications. Okay. What is the Spring Security module? What is Spring Security module?
to achieve Spring
Using
authentication,
authentication and
authorization,
authorization
and
in
secret.
Yes.
application.
So in order to implement the security in our applications, we can use that. Okay. You can use that cloud module. Right. Sorry, security module. We can implement authentication and authorization in our project by using cloud. What is the Spring Batch module? What is the Spring
To
Batch
perform
module?
multiple transactions at a sequence.
Yes. So if you want to perform bulk operation, if you want to perform bulk operation, then we are going to use Spring Batch module. What is the Spring Scheduler? What is the Spring Scheduler, guys? Come on.
Used for cron type job like scheduling any tax.
Yes, the Spring Scheduler that is used for scheduling the tasks. I want to execute some program every day morning at 10 a.m. So manually we cannot do that. So that's why we are going to schedule the job execution. So Spring Scheduling is used to schedule our jobs execution. All right. The next one. Coming to the core module, we discussed about few important concepts like IOC container and dependency injection. Can anyone tell me what is IOC container now? Can you tell
As
me
a cont-
what is IOC
yes,
container now?
as a container is part of the core, the Spring Core module, and which is responsible for creating objects, injecting objects, and managing the life cycle of objects.
Yes, so IOC container is a principle. IOC container is a principle that is used to manage and collaborate our objects. IOC is a principle that is used to manage and collaborate objects in the application. So creating the object, managing the object, performing the dependency injection, all these works will be taken care by our IOC container only. All these things will be taken care by IOC container only. So IOC is a principle that is used to manage and collaborate objects in the application. Okay, so in order to manage the objects, in order to collaborate the objects, IOC container will perform dependency injection. IOC container will perform dependency injection. What is the meaning of dependency injection? Come on, guys. What is the meaning of dependency injection now?
Dependency injection is the process of
Depending object in
injecting the
target.
dependent object
Dependency
to the
injection is the
target
process
object.
of injecting dependent object into target object. Dependency injection is used to manage the objects, right? So it is going to inject the dependent object into target object. It is used to inject the dependent object into target object, right? So how many ways we can perform the dependency injection now? How many ways we can perform the dependency injection, guys?
3 ways.
Yes.
So we can perform the dependency injection in 3 ways actually. One is setter injection, another one is constructor injection, another one is field injection. But field injection we have not used here. Field injection we have not used here. The reason XML will not support for that. When we go for annotations, then we can work with the field injection. Got my point? Okay. So tell me what is constructor and what is a setter. Yes. What is constructor injection and what is a setter injection?
Injecting target object to, sorry, dependent
Injecting
object to
depend.
target object by using the constructor. For the setter injection, setter method will be used for the injecting dependent object to target object.
So injecting the dependent object into target object, injecting the dependent object into target object using target class constructor is called constructor injection. Okay. Then what is the setter injection?
Injecting dependent object in target object through using constructor is called set.
Setter injection. Can you come again once again?
Injecting dependent object into target object using setter methods is called setter.
Injecting the dependent object into target object using target class constructor is called construct injection. Injecting the dependent object into target object by using target class setter method is called setter injection. So how to represent constructor injection and setter injection for IOC container?
By using some
Constructor
tag like
injection.
constructor or tag used for constructor injection, property tags used for setter injection in XML file.
Constructor arg is used to represent constructor injection. Property tag is used to represent setter injection. So if you perform both constructor and setter injection for the single variable, then what is the problem? What is the problem?
Ambiguity error will be occur, I think.
No, constructor injection only will
Okay.
perform.
Mhm.
Will take setter injection. No ambiguity.
Constructor injection.
Prior will be setter injection means last object index will be setter.
Constructor injection will first and then setter injection will perform. So setter injection is going to override the constructor injection value. Okay, next we discussed about bean scopes concept, guys. What is bean scope?
Usually IOC will create object for our bean classes to identify how many objects are creating. We can identify using bean scopes.
Bean scopes will represent how many objects should be created for a spring bean. First of all, what is a spring bean?
IOC
Java class
container
which is
managing
managed
Java
by
class.
IOCs.
So any Java class which is managed by IOC container, any Java class which is managed by IOC container is called as a Spring Bean. So for the Spring Bean, by default, only one object will be created because by default, every Spring Bean is a singleton. So if you want to change, then you can make it as prototype, then every time new object will be created. Which beans will follow eager loading? Which beans will follow lazy loading, guys?
Singleton beam follow eagle loading and prototype will follow lazy loading.
Singleton beans will follow eager loading. Prototype beans will follow lazy loading. What is the meaning of eager loading and lazy loading?
So in eagle loading, we don't need get bean method for creation of the object. Whereas in lazy loading, until and unless we use get bean, object won't be created.
Right. So when you go for eager loading, when the IOC container starts, then only bean object will be created. When IOC container starts, then only bean object will be created. So if it is lazy loading, whenever it is required, then only bean object will be created. So if you call get bean method, then only bean object will be created when you go for lazy loading. Next one. So what is auto wiring? The last concept that we discussed, what is auto wiring?
Automatic adding dependent in object to target object by using XML. That case you can use auto array like by name, by type, and constructor.
All right. What is the difference between manual wiring and auto wiring, guys?
In auto wiring, we injected beans automatically based on property name, property type, and constructor. In manual wiring, we need to like specify reference object to inject into the target.
Right, right. Okay. So when you go for ref attribute, then the manual wiring, that means programmer has to specify what is the target bean and what is the dependent bean. We need to inject that dependent bean into target bean by giving ref attribute. But we no need to do that manual wiring. We no need to do that manual wiring. So the reason IOC container itself can identify the dependent object, can inject the dependent object into target object. So we need to enable that auto wiring. On the target bin, we are going to enable the auto wiring. So then IOC can search for the dependent object based on mode of the auto wiring. By name, by type, constructor, none. None means no auto wiring will happen. Constructor means through constructor injection, dependent object will be injected. By name, by type. By name means bean will be identified based on the name of the property. By type means based on the data type, the bean object will be identified. Based on the data type, bean object will be identified. Are you clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point now? So this
Yes.
is what that we covered as of now. So I have done a quick revision on the topics that we covered so far in our classes. These are very, very important and fundamental concepts related to, these are very, very important and fundamental concepts related to Spring Framework. So if you know these fundamentals, then only we can work with other modules available in the Spring Framework. Okay? We know these fundamental concepts, then only we can work with other modules available in the Spring Framework.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Ninaisi. Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
The none means that means it is also manual wiring is not happen in none or
Auto wiring will not happen. None means auto wiring will not happen. Manual wiring you can do by using ref attribute, right?
okay, sir.
Bindu here. I have one doubt, sir. Yesterday in JRTP class we have done logger, right? In that logger we are using dependency injection or how we are doing that, sir? Logger, that one
In the
related.
logger, no, in the logger I have not done any dependency injection. Today I will tell you dependency injection in the logger class.
Yeah, but logger we are taking in user services now, sir. That we are taking logger up means for default classes. Yeah, as logger is default classes, we can take automatically. There it is not doing like dependency injection or how it is taking that objects or logger object there.
Logger
In
object we created manually by using logger factory dot get logger.
okay, that is not dependency.
Dependency injection, yeah.
Sir, can you differentiate, sir, how we can identify whether it is doing dependency injection or it is not doing dependency injection?
So if you specify AutoWire attribute in the XML file, then you can say dependency injection. In future,
Okay.
there will be one annotation called @AutoWire. So in your code, if you find this annotation, that means you are doing auto wiring. If this annotation is available, you can do that means it is happening auto wiring. If
Yeah,
auto attribute not available, this annotation is also not available, that means manual wiring.
sir, but in application that application class we have like Adidas Spring Boot application, right? Adidas Spring Boot application default is doing auto wiring or it is not doing auto wiring. So there
No,
I got confused,
no,
sir.
auto
That's
wiring is
why.
not there. Not there. In the yesterday logging example in the project class, right? Auto wiring is not used.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Just manually, I got the logger object and I performed the logging.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir.
Right. Good guys. Now, anybody having any questions on this so far? We completed the most important concepts related to Spring framework. I have not discussed anything related to Spring Boot as of now. The reason, if you want to learn the Spring Boot, then these concepts are very important. Without having the proper knowledge on these concepts, you can't understand the Spring Boot concepts. Spring Boot is an extension for the Spring framework. Whatever the concepts available in the Spring framework, same concepts we are going to use in the Spring Boot also with annotation approach. So in the Spring we use XML approach. In the Spring Boot completely we are going to use annotation based approach. So I'm hoping that all of you doing the practice properly. Whatever the examples that we have done on the IOC container and the dependency injection, I'm hoping that you guys are able to do the practice on that. I'm hoping that you guys are able to do the practice on that. Can I believe that all of you doing the proper practice?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, after completing this course, will I be able to work on the project of the company?
Yes,
Will
sir.
it be easy for
Definitely
me?
you can work on the company project, sir.
So there is a one basic question.
Yeah.
We have this ATM project, right? We have an ATM class. We have one, okay, the banking project. We have one in the implementation class, one, two dependent classes.
Right.
Okay. In that, which one is not an Spring? Sorry, not an bean. Which class is not a bean in that?
No, all the classes we represent as a Spring Beans. So if you go for ATM class, ATM project, so ATM is one Java class and printer is one Java class. And
Yes.
in the XML file, we configured the bean. ATM bean is configured, printer is configured. So these are two classes considered as a Spring Beans. Main class is available. This is not a Spring Bean. This main class we are just using to get the IOC container and get the methods and get the objects and call the methods. This main class is not Spring Bean. The ATM is a Spring Bean, printer is a Spring Bean because in the XML you configured printer as a bean, ATM as a bean. If you configure your Java class as a bean here, then IOC container will load that class, IOC will create the object, IOC will manage that object.
Okay. So in a real-time example, which when we will configure a class which is not in Bean.
POJO classes. For example, you have your POJO classes just to set the data and get the data that we don't
Okay.
configure as a Spring Bean. And
Okay.
you will have some entity classes to map with the database for ORM operations. Those classes we don't represent as a Spring Beans.
Okay. Got it.
You got my point?
Yeah, yeah, I got it.
All right. So with this, we got the clarity on the Spring core module, Spring IOC container, dependency injection, constructor, setter, bean scopes, auto wiring, all that stuff. From today, we are going to start another module in the Spring framework that is called as Spring JDBC. We can also say that Spring DAO. Okay, Spring JDBC module is available and Spring DAO, or we can also call this as Spring DAO module.
Sir,
So,
yesterday you said like in which context like prototype we use
yes, sir, I
like.
will explain that, sir. I remember that. I remember that. Okay, good. So in which scenario we are going to use that prototype and all, I will explain that. I remember that. Okay, good. Next one, we are going to understand another important module available in the Spring framework, that is Spring DAO module. We can also call that as Spring JDBC module. Sir, what is this Spring JDBC module? Why we need to learn this Spring JDBC module? Spring JDBC is a part of the Spring framework, Spring ecosystem. Spring JDBC module is part of the Spring framework. Spring JDBC, it is used to simplify database operations in the Java application. It is used to simplify DB operations in Java applications. So earlier we used normal JDBC to perform database operations. So we already discussed. If you go for normal JDBC to perform the DB operations, we need to write lot of boilerplate code. So Spring JDBC handles resources management, exception handling, and it will reduce boilerplate code. Okay, Spring JDBC handles resource management properly. It will take care of exception handling in the DB operations, and it is going to reduce boilerplate code. It is going to reduce boilerplate code. Let me show you the single example here. If you want to insert one record into database table, if you want to insert one record into database table by using normal JDBC, what we need to do? If you want to insert one record by using normal JDBC, then what we need to do? Do you remember JDBC examples, guys? How we will work with normal JDBC? Okay, so
Yes.
here we need to load the driver. We need to load the driver. We need to
Create
get
connection.
connection. Okay, then we
Create
need
statement
create a statement. Then we need
and
to
then
execute
execute.
query. Then we need to
Then
process
process
result, and we need to close the connection.
connection.
Right. So this is the regular process. This is the regular process that we need to follow in order to perform a database operation by using Java JDBC API. So if you use normal Java JDBC API to perform the DB operations, we need to follow this approach. We need to follow this approach, guys. Now, so if you want to perform just one record insertion, these are the common steps. If I want to update the record, if I want to delete the record, if I want to insert the record, same procedure you need to follow, right? So this is just for inserting one record. Again, if I want to update the record in the table, if I want to update the record in the table, again I need to follow the same steps or not. Again I need to follow the same steps or not. If I want to
Yes, yes, the
the
same
record,
step.
if I want to delete the record in the table, if I want to delete the record in the table, then again I need to follow the same steps. Insert record in table. Okay, so here I want to update record in table, and I want to delete record in the table. Delete the record in the table. So just if I want to perform three operations in the database, you see how much logic we are writing. So if you go for normal JDBC to perform the database operations, you need to write the repeated code. You need to write the duplicate code. That duplicate code is called as boilerplate code. Whatever the duplicate code we are writing, that duplicate code is called as boilerplate code. Now, to avoid this boilerplate code, we are going for Spring JDBC. If you go for Spring JDBC, what is the advantage? If you go for the Spring JDBC, what is the advantage available? The advantage with the Spring JDBC here, if you want to insert a record in the table, they provided one predefined class called JDBC template dot update. You pass your query. Okay, so there is a predefined class available with a name called JDBC template. For that JDBC template, you just pass you call the update method of the JDBC template, and you call the update method by passing the query. It will perform the operations for you. So if you go for normal JDBC, you need to write 6 lines of code. If you go for Spring JDBC with 1 line of code, you can perform the same operation. When you go for normal JDBC, when you go for normal JDBC, 6 lines of code you need to write to perform the operations in the table. 6 lines of code you need to write to perform operations in the table. So that is a boilerplate code, because in one table, I want to insert the record, I want to update the record, I want to delete the record. So in every method, we need to write some common lines of code. That common lines of code is called as duplicate code, or we can say it is a boilerplate code. It is a duplicate code, or we can say it is a boilerplate code. So to avoid that boilerplate code, Spring Framework provided one module called Spring JDBC module. So what is this Spring JDBC? Spring JDBC is a part of the Spring Framework. Spring JDBC is part of the Spring Framework. Okay, and this is used to, it is used to simplify database operations in the Spring applications. So my Java application wants to communicate with the database. So to simplify the DB operations, we are going to use this Spring JDBC module. This Spring JDBC handles resources management properly. It will handle exceptions of our applications, and it will reduce boilerplate code in the application. Sir, how it is going to reduce the boilerplate code? As you see, if you go for normal JDBC to perform the DB operations, now you need to write the boilerplate code. If you go for Spring JDBC, they provided predefined classes. So those predefined classes will provide the boilerplate code for you. You focus only on the business logic. So by using Spring JDBC, if you want to perform the database operation, there is a predefined class available that is called JDBC template. In the JDBC template, we have a method. You call the method, you pass the query, the remaining stuff will be taken care by Spring JDBC. Like driver loading, connection creation, statement creation, execution of query, closing the connections, all those things will be taken care by Spring JDBC module. You focus only on your query part. You focus only on your query part, remaining things will be taken care by Spring JDBC. Are you guys able to follow me? Are you guys able to follow me?
Yes, Ashok.
Right, right. So with this, we are able to understand the difference between normal JDBC and Spring JDBC. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between normal JDBC and Spring JDBC, guys?
Yes, in normal JDBC, we're required to write so many codes, whereas on the Spring JDBC, those boilerplate codes will be avoided, and we will focus on the business logic.
Right, right. So if you go for normal JDBC, we need to write lot of boilerplate code. Okay, Spring JDBC will take care of all that boilerplate code. Manually, we need to close the connections in the normal JDBC. When you go for Spring JDBC, it will take care of it will take care of the connection closing, statement closing, result set closing. When you go for normal JDBC, we need to handle lot of exceptions, guys. Let us see a simple comparison between normal JDBC and Spring JDBC. So this is a comparison diagram for normal JDBC and Spring JDBC. So in the normal JDBC setup, manually we need to write a lot of boilerplate code. When you go for Spring JDBC, Spring handles most setup automatically. Driver loading, connection creation, that is not programmer responsibility because that is common for everybody. The common logics will be taken care by framework. The common logics will be taken care by framework only. The common logics will be taken care by framework only. You got my point? Good. Resources management. When we are using normal JDBC, manually we need to close the connection statement and result set object. Manually we need to close the connection statement and result set object. When you go for the Spring JDBC, automatically those resources will be managed by Spring framework. Automatically the resources will be managed by Spring framework. And when we are writing the JDBC program, for every line, we will get the SQL exception. When we go for normal JDBC, every line will give you checked exception we need to handle. Whereas in the Spring JDBC, exceptions will be taken care by that JDBC only. In the Spring JDBC, they will take care of the exceptions. And code, lot of code we need to write, repetitive code we need to write in the normal JDBC. When you go for Spring JDBC, clean and reusable code will be available. So I have shown you the example. In the normal JDBC, we need to write lot of lines of code, lot of boilerplate code we need to write. When you go for Spring JDBC, so very simple and clean code we are writing. Instead of writing 6 lines of code in the method, we are writing only 1 line of code in the method. So lengthy code will be available in the normal JDBC, repetitive code will be available, whereas in the Spring JDBC, minimal code we are going to write. Minimal code we are going to write. Are you guys clear with my point now? Are you guys clear with my point now?
Yes, sir.
Good. And the next one, result set mapping. So when you are getting the data from the table by using select query, JDBC will give you the data in the form of result set object. JDBC will give you the data in the form of result set object. So again, you need to iterate the result set and you need to convert the data into one object. Whereas in the Spring JDBC, that is very simple. For example, if you are working with a normal JDBC, I'm going to execute one select query, select a star from table. So when I execute the query from the table, I'm going to get the data in the form of result set object. We need to iterate that result set and we need to convert the data into one object. We need to iterate the result set and convert the data into one object. Then we need to close the resources. We need to close the resources. This is regular JDBC logic. Get the connection from the table, prepare the statement, execute the query. Once we execute the query, we are going to get the data in the form of result set object. Okay. Once we get the result set, we need to iterate the result set and we need to set the data to Java object. Once the result set processing is completed, then we need to close the resources. So this logic we need to write in the normal JDBC. If you go for Spring JDBC, same thing we can complete in 2 lines of code. Here in the normal JDBC, these many lines of code we are writing. When we go for Spring JDBC, just you call the query method and use a mapper. So this student mapper is used to map the result set data into student object. It is used to map the result set data into student objects. So in the normal JDBC, this much lengthy code we need to write. In the Spring JDBC, predefined methods available, predefined classes available, predefined classes available. They will take care of common logics. We need to focus only on the business logics. They will take care of the common logics. We need to take care of only business logics, guys. Are you clear with my point now? Are you guys clear with my point now?
Yes.
Very good. So with this, we are able to understand. The difference between normal JDBC and Spring JDBC. So result set mapping, we need to manually map the result set object in the normal JDBC. When you go for the Spring JDBC, there is a concept called row mapper concept is available. There is a concept called row mapper concept is available. And manually we need to handle the transactions in the normal JDBC. In the Spring JDBC, built-in transactional support is available. Built-in transactional support is available. Unit testing is difficult when you go for normal JDBC. Unit testing is easy when we go for the Spring JDBC concept, because less number of lines of code is available. Easily we can handle that. So if you go for normal JDBC, lot of code we need to write, whereas in the Spring JDBC, very less amount of code we are going to write. So easily we can perform DB operations. We can do more work in the less time. We can do more work in the less time when you go for this Spring JDBC concept. So can you guys tell me what is Spring JDBC?
Can you explain one more time the row mapper?
It is used to map the result set data to Java object, sir. Here we are doing this manually. Here automatically row mapper will take care of that work. Row mapper is our user defined class only. So in this row mapper class, we will write the logic to read the data from the result set map to the Java object. Here programmer will do manually. Here row mapper will take care of that. As of now, understand, row mapper is used to map table records into Java objects. How to map it? We will develop one example and we will understand. Row mapper is used to map our SQL query results into Java objects. Map the
Is
row to the Java object.
it the ready-made class or
No. Student row mapper is a user defined class. We need to create that.
I see.
We will create that.
All right.
All good. So you understand the difference between that JDBC and Spring JDBC, normal JDBC and Spring JDBC. Guys, able to understand the difference between normal
Yes, sir.
JDBC and Spring JDBC?
Yes, clear, Ashok.
Very good. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between normal JDBC and Spring JDBC?
Boilerplate code.
Yes, so normal JDBC is used to communicate with the database table. In the normal JDBC, we need to write a lot of boilerplate code. Okay. When you go for Spring JDBC, they will take care of boilerplate code and they will give you common logics. You focus only on the business logic. Okay. Spring JDBC is part of the Spring framework. Spring JDBC is part of the Spring framework. It is used to simplify DB operations in the Java applications. Okay. It is used to perform DB operations. Very easily we can perform DB operations. Spring JDBC handles resource management, exception handling, and reduces boilerplate code. Spring JDBC provided predefined classes and methods to simplify DB operations. Example, there is a concept called JDBC template available. There is a concept called row mapper available. There is a concept called data source available. So predefined components and methods to simplify DB operations. JDBC template class available, row mapper interface available, data source interface available. By using them, we can simplify our database operations in the application. A simple comparison, okay, Spring JDBC example and normal JDBC example. Normal JDBC code. If you are going for normal JDBC, what is the code we need to write? And if you go for Spring JDBC, what is the code we are writing? You can see the clear difference here. In the normal JDBC, lot of code we are writing. In the Spring JDBC, very easily we are able to perform same operation with 2 lines of code. So you no need to load the driver. You no need to get the connection. You no need to iterate the result set. You no need to close the resources. You no need to handle the exception. Everything will be taken care by Spring JDBC by using a class called JDBC template. JDBC template is a predefined class available in the Spring JDBC that is providing some methods to simplify database operations in our application, that is providing predefined methods to simplify database operations in our application. Are you guys able to follow me? Are you guys able to follow me? Come on.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ashok.
Yes, very good. Now, how to work with this Spring JDBC, guys? How to work with this Spring JDBC? What components that are available in the JDBC? Those things we need to understand. The key components of Spring JDBC. What are the key components of Spring JDBC? When we are working with the Spring JDBC, what are the key components that are available? The first key component in the JDBC that we need to understand is data source. What is the first one, guys? The first one is data source. And the second one is JDBC template. And the third one is row mapper. So there are three important concepts available. Data source, this is one interface. JDBC template is a class. Row mapper is also one interface. So if you know these three components, then easily we can work with a Spring JDBC module. If you know these three components called data source, JDBC template, and row mapper, then easily you can work with the Spring JDBC. So what is this JDBC component like data source, JDBC template, and row mapper? So data source is an interface that represents database connection pooling. Data source is an interface. It is used to represent, database connection pooling. So with which database you want to connect? With which database you want to connect? So the database driver, database URL, database username, database password that we are going to configure by using data source. So in the normal JDBC, we are getting the connection with the database, right? So in the Spring JDBC, instead of a programmer is getting the connection, programmer will give database details to the data source object. That the data source object is going to get the connection from the database table. That the database is going to get the connection from the database table. Instead of we are making the connections, the data source is going to get the connection for us. Data source. What is this data source? Data source is an interface. It is used to represent database connection pooling. So creating the connections, giving the connections for the programmer. Next one, JDBC template. So what is this JDBC template here? JDBC template, a core class of Spring JDBC to execute SQL queries. JDBC template JDBC template is a core class of Spring JDBC to execute SQL queries. Earlier, we used statement, prepared statement, callable statement to execute the queries. Okay. From now onwards, we are going to use a class called JDBC template. JDBC template is a core class of Spring JDBC to execute SQL queries. JDBC template is a core class of Spring JDBC which is used to execute SQL queries. Then what is the row mapper? So row mapper is used to map result set
Uh,
to result set data
Sorry,
to
Ashok.
the Java objects. Row mapper is used to map result set to row data, data to Java objects. So as we have seen in the program earlier in the normal JDBC, we are iterating the result set, we are mapping the data to the Java object manually. From now onwards, instead of we are doing that, we are going to use row mapper to map our result set data to the Java object. Instead of we are doing the mapping, instead of we are iterating the result set, we can use row mapper. Row mapper can map the data to our Java object. Okay, so when we are working with the Spring JDBC, three components are very important for us. What are those three components, guys? One is called data source, another one is called JDBC template, third one is called row mapper. So data source is an interface. It is used to represent database connection pooling. So loading the driver, getting the connections, that work will be taken care by data source object. What is the JDBC template? JDBC template is a core class of the Spring JDBC which is used to execute SQL queries. Okay, if you want to execute any SQL query, simply we will use JDBC template method. So simply we can use the JDBC template method to execute the query. In the normal JDBC, we should write lot of code to execute the queries. In the Spring JDBC, the JDBC template class providing the methods to simplify our DB operations. Easily we can execute our SQL queries by using JDBC template method. Okay, then next one, what is a row mapper? Row mapper is a interface that is used to map result set data to Java objects. Earlier, manually we are iterating the result set by using while loop and we get the data from the result set, we map to Java object. From now onwards, we no need to do that. We can simply use the row mapper to map our result set data to Java object. Are you clear with my point?
One quick question, Ashok.
Yeah,
JDBC template is used to execute the SQL queries, right?
right.
If you are using a non-SQL DB, just like MongoDB and all,
We can
are you
execute that,
going
sir.
to use?
For MongoDB, there is a separate module available, Spring Data module. By using that, you can perform operations with MongoDB also. I will show you MongoDB example as well.
Okay.
I will show you MongoDB example as well.
So it will not work with the JPA concept.
No. JPA is also the separate, sir. The next level JPA. Currently, we are only at the Spring JDBC. Next, we will talk about Spring Data JPA.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Next one. We understand key components of Spring JDBC, right? Data source available, JDBC template available, row mapper available. Can anyone tell me what is the data source? Can anyone tell me what is the data source?
Data
Yes,
source
the
used to
data source.
present the database connection pooling.
Come on. What is the data source?
Data source is an interface used to initiate the database connection.
Right.
Initiate of the
Data source is an interface that is used to represent database connection pooling. Data source is an interface that is used to represent database connection pooling, driver loading, connection creation that will be taken care by data source. Then what is JDBC template here?
JDBC template is a core class which is used to execute our SQL queries.
JDBC template is a core class of Spring JDBC which is used to execute SQL queries. What is row mapper?
Row
Map
mapper
the
is to
result
map
set
the
object
results.
to Java object.
Row
Map.
mapper is used to map result set data to Java objects. Now, let us understand Spring JDBC architecture, guys. Okay, understand Spring JDBC architecture. So in the Spring JDBC architecture, first here our application code will be available. Our Java code will be available that we will develop by using DAO classes. So this is called as application layer. In this application layer, we will write Java code. We can also call it as a DAO. So any Java class that contains database communication logic that is called as persistence layer. Okay, we can also call it as a DAO class. Right. So we will develop our Java code. That Java code we are going to write in a separate class called DAO class. Then our Java class is going to communicate with the predefined JDBC class, which is called JDBC template. Our Java class is going to communicate with a predefined class called JDBC template. Okay, so this JDBC template is called as core helper class in the Spring JDBC. So this is JDBC template. We can call it as a core helper class in the JDBC that provides some common logics for our application to perform the database. Then this JDBC template internally will communicate with the data source to understand with which database we need to connect. Okay, data source will be available, manages DB connections, manages DB connections, data source. Then this data source will internally communicate with the JDBC driver. Internally, this data source is going to connect with the JDBC driver. Okay, so example, it can use Oracle driver or MySQL driver or H2, anything is fine. So example, you can use Oracle or MySQL or H2 or Postgres SQL. So any driver that we can use. That driver is going to communicate with our database table. Whatever the driver is available, that driver is going to communicate with the relational database, which is our actual DB. This is our actual DB. So this is the execution flow when we are working with the Spring JDBC, right? Our application layer will be available here. Our application layer will be available here. Our application is going to communicate with the JDBC template, which is core helper class provided by Spring JDBC module. That JDBC template is giving the methods to execute the queries. JDBC template class will communicate with the data source. Data source will communicate with the JDBC driver, and JDBC driver is going to communicate with the actual database. So our application wants to communicate with the database, but how our application is going to communicate with the database? Our application communicating with the database directly, or our application communicating with the database by using Spring JDBC? Our application
Using
communicating with the database directly, or our application communicating with the database through Spring JDBC? Come on, guys.
through Spring JDBC.
Our application communicating with the database through Spring JDBC. So instead of directly we are communicating with the database, we are using JDBC template. So what is this JDBC template? What is the JDBC template here? What is JDBC template here? Come on, guys. What is JDBC template? I want answer from you.
Yeah, you said
JDBC template is a core helper class provided by Spring JDBC module. So our Java program is going to communicate with the JDBC template, that is the core helper class in the Spring JDBC module, to perform DB operations. Instead of we are writing the lot of boilerplate code, we can use this Spring JDBC template to perform the DB operations. So this is the core helper class providing methods to perform DB operations. That JDBC template class is going to communicate with the data source. What is the meaning of data source, guys?
uh,
What
data
is the meaning
source.
of data source?
Data source is an interface that will communicate with the database.
Yes, data source is used to manage database connections in our application. It is used to manage database connections in our application. Next one, JDBC driver. What is the JDBC driver here? What is the JDBC driver?
It loads the necessary driver to communicate with the
If
database.
you want to communicate with a database through Java program, JDBC driver is required to translate our queries into DB understandable format. Okay, so JDBC driver. Our Java code will communicate with the JDBC template class. JDBC template class will communicate with the data source. Data source will communicate with the JDBC driver. JDBC driver will communicate with the
Database.
actual database. Are you clear? This is called Spring JDBC architecture. How Spring JDBC working in the background to simplify database operation. To simplify database operations, how Spring JDBC module is working in the background, how it is making our life simple. How it is making our life simple. This is Spring JDBC architecture, guys.
Ashok, one thing over here, please.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing all this the diagrammatic display in your notes
Yes, sir.
in
I
the
will
notepad.
add that, sir. Actually, I did not get the time. I'm giving the notes in the text file, right?
Yeah,
So what I will do, I will convert all these things into one PDF along with the diagrams. I will share that.
yeah, that's very important, Ashok.
Sure, sure.
All right, thank you.
For now, I will share this diagram in the group. Okay. So when I get some time, mostly by next week, I will share all these things.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yep.
Sir, I have one doubt about row mapper.
Yep.
Sir, here mapping is what? Mapping means what? That
Converting
means
here.
getting.
See here. This is what we are doing in the line number 10, 11, 12, 9, 10, 11.
Yes,
What is that logic? What is the purpose of that three lines of code?
sir, getting the result set data.
And storing into Java object.
Yes,
So that is called mapping. We are mapping result set data to student object. That is called data mapping. So instead of we are writing this code manually here, that code will be taken care by row mapper. It will map result set data to Java object. So getting the data from the result set, storing to the student object is called row mapping. One row we are mapping to one Java object.
yes. Thank you, sir.
Anyway, you will provide us one sample project to do the same thing here.
Yes, sir, we will do, sir. Everything is practical. This is just introduction part. So everything we will see practically.
Yes.
So whatever the topic whatever the topic that I'm covering, for every topic, I will develop the example and I will give the code also and I will give the notes also for your practice purpose.
Thank you.
So, and guys, I want a feedback from you people, how the classes are happening for you. Are you guys able to follow me?
Yes, sir.
One minute. So the way I'm teaching, the way I'm clarifying your doubts, the notes that I'm giving for you, is it okay for everyone? Any changes that we need to make for our class so that you guys will not get the confusion? Do we need to make any changes to the course or whatever the flow that is going on? Are you happy with that? Okay, good. So one thing that is pending from my side, guys, I need to make the notes more beautiful. I need to make the notes more beautiful with the PDF and a diagram format. Okay. So I need
Yeah.
to add these diagrams also in the notes, then you will get the better clarity on that. So that is one pending task from my side. And the second pending task is whatever the examples that we are developing in the class, I told that I will store those examples in the Google Classroom. Okay. So this is our workspace. I will push this code into our Google Classroom, sorry, in the GitHub repository. So let me create a GitHub repository for our batch and let me store my code in that. New. So our batch code is Sbms SBMS 63 guys. So I'm giving the name as SBMS 63 public repository. I will push my all the code into GitHub repository. I will check with my team sir why they missed it. They will upload it today. I'm pushing all my examples to GitHub repository. So as I'm giving the code, blindly don't copy paste guys. So I want you people to develop the code on your own. So I'm giving the code just for your reference. So please try to do the coding on your own. Then only you will get the better clarity.
Hello, sir.
1 minute, madam. Yeah. So guys, whatever the examples that I have developed as of now, all these examples code I have added to the Git repository. I will give the link for the Git repository also. Okay. Git repository is available here. For all the nodes, complete nodes you can access from here. Right. I will share this in the notes as well as I will share so any examples that I'm developing in the class, I'm going to share that in our Git repository. On daily basis, I will push my code into Git repository, guys. On daily basis, I will push my code into Git repository. Good. Can you guys check it? Are you able to access that or not? Can you guys check it? Are you able to access that or not?
Can you post that URL in the chat?
I send it in the WhatsApp group, sir.
Oh, you sent it in the WhatsApp. Okay.
Yeah.
It's accessible.
Able to access.
Yeah, it's access.
Able to access.
Okay. Class work.
Very good, guys. So with this, I'm stopping for today, and tomorrow we will work on Spring JDBC example. So today, theoretically, we understood what is Spring JDBC and why we need to go for Spring JDBC. So tomorrow we will understand practicals of Spring JDBC. Okay, good. Thank you, guys. So have a great day.
Thank you.
Somebody is asking some question. Some lady. Who is that?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi. Tell me.
Yeah, can you conduct any workshop on Maven?
Sure, definitely. I will conduct a workshop on Maven. Next week we have the workshop on the GitHub. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and guys, one more update for you people. Tomorrow we have class as usual. Tomorrow we will develop one example on Spring JDBC. After that, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Monday, I think 3-4 days I will not be available, guys. I'm going for a small trip. I'm going to Arunachalam and Tirupati. 3-4 days I will not be available. So tomorrow we have class regularly. Then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, mostly Monday also, I will not be available for the class. So I'm taking 3-4 leaves. These leaves I will compensate on the weekends, upcoming weekends. I will take Sunday session also. Is that fine for everyone? 3-4 days 3-4 days I will not be available. I will update that message in the group also. Whatever the things I'm taking, I will take extra sessions on the upcoming weekend. Sunday I will take some extra class for 2 to 3 hours. Okay, guys, good. Thank you. With this, I'm stopping for now. We'll meet again in the tomorrow session.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashok.
Yeah.
The recording has stopped.